We do have to discuss, though, the one move the Browns did make, and that was sending DPJ to Detroit for a 2025 sixth-round pick in return.
That's a key pick. Huge pick.
Bull hates the whole thing. I personally think the Browns did him a solid.
Well, I'm not in this business to do solids, okay? I'm in the business to win football games.
Yeah, now, you ain't paying them and you ain't utilizing them.
Well, they are utilizing them. They're just not getting the ball because they have terrible quarterback play. That's part of it. Some of it's on him.
Even when Deshaun was in there, he wasn't getting the ball.
Before the show, I said the Browns are a worse roster today. Listen, is DPJ a big deal? I'm not saying it's a big deal.
Ask the question to G.
Do the Browns have a worse roster today than they did yesterday?
Slightly, yes.
Of course, slightly, yes.
Y'all are sick.
And Earl and Tyvus completely out of pocket.
I said it's the same. I said it's the same.
Why?
Why isn't it?
He was starting for you.
So? You didn't use him.
So if he was starting for you, that means somebody below him wasn't better than him.
Is that the case, or was they trying to make sure he got in there to utilize him to get his trade value to go up? Because he wasn't
going to ever be traded for anything.
You know how this thing is. Strategically, I got to put him out there because if he makes some plays, that's good because now his stock
Donovan
goes up.
Peoples-Jones was never going to be traded for anything special.
Tyvus, did his game against Seattle, you can see his stats on the screen. Did that help or hurt his trade value?
Yeah, come on.
The game before that, he had a game.
The Browns have had, Donovan Peoples, who is the only range? Donovan Peoples-Jones had how many yards last year? 800 something?
Last season, 839 yards.
Anybody else on this team have 800 yards in a season besides Amari Cooper recently? No. Yeah. So you could say he's played, his production has been way down.
Okay.
But he's played 80% of the snaps.
He's
80%. To say they're not any worse. Nobody said they're significantly worse. But they're slightly worse.
Cedric Tillman has been inactive for 2 weeks.
Well, what does that say about him?
Hold on. Cedric Tillman been active for 2 weeks. Him and DPJ's production has been the exact same in 2 weeks.
All right.
What was the difference?
So my thing is, so
you traded away a guy who plays 80%, but his production is the same as a guy who's been inactive for 2 weeks. But I could get a pick for him. Why would I? Why wouldn't I?
A pick.
Why wouldn't I?
An undrafted.
I'm not going to pay him. Why wouldn't I?
An undrafted free agent is probably just as likely to make a team as a late sixth-round pick from the Lions. Is there a significant difference there?
That's not true.
I'd like to see the stats on that.
That's not true, actually.
How many late sixth-round picks are making significant inroads on a team?
A lot of them make practice squad.
Look, man. You know this is tough, man. And a lot of people flip-flop on what Andrew Berry does. He has some head scratchers though, man. Like for the simple fact of Donovan Peoples, and I'll give it to him. Do I think he's some great receiver? No. But one of the things you can say is he's dependable. The locker room likes him. He's a kid that does it right.
We're not in here for solids and all of that. We in here for production on the field.
Well, you just said the same thing he said about PJ Walker.
And y'all grilled me for it. So why can't I grill him?
But DPJ
has proven it more than PJ Walker.
DPJ in his career has been a way better wide receiver than PJ Walker's been a quarterback.
I don't know about that.
What?
And the Browns
That's an asinine and absurd statement, Tyvus.
That's crazy.
I don't know about that.
If you go down the ledger, look at it this way. As a GM, at some point, we keep talking about we in cap purgatory. We got to pay these guys. We got to pay these guys. The reason that becomes a huge thing that you got to pay these people is because you're not hitting on guys that are supposed to be replacing these guys.
That's right.
So if you look at Nick Chubb, he's past his prime. You didn't draft him. You didn't draft Denzel Ward. You didn't draft Myles Garrett, Batonio, or Teller. Teller. These are your best players. You got Amari Cooper on a free agency. You got Elijah Moore free agency. Juan Thornhill free agency.
These was trade.
You
said how they acquired them?
Yeah.
They traded them for them.
So here's my thing.
So you need them picks to trade.
Wyatt Teller?
Juan Thornhill was free agent.
You said Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore.
Yeah, trade. This is trade.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
But here's the thing.
So your best two is through. So if you know that I can't draft for nothing, and I can trade for something, wouldn't you want to get more trade picks?
Those players are more expensive.
That's right. And G is 100% right. we all the time, Jason and Jay, we're always with the cap. The cap only screws you up if you screw up your draft picks.
Yep.
If you're consistently replacing some of your high-priced guys with good draft picks, then the cap doesn't kill you.
And the people that are mad at Deshaun Watson, they went out and paid $230. If you would have missed on Baker Mayfield, you would have never had to get Deshaun Watson.
If you would have drafted Josh Allen.
You can't miss at number 1 overall quarterback.
Who knows that the development that Josh Allen? First of all, who thought that? Who was our OC at the time, quarterbacks coach, when that was taking place?
Don't remember. They've changed them so many times.
So who was to say that guy would have got the same production out of Josh Allen?
But it's the consequences, though. The Bills got Josh Allen on a rookie deal. They developed him. They could spend money elsewhere. The Ravens did the same thing with Lamar Jackson. If you miss in the top 5, you're going to have to go out and overpay for a lot of other different stuff. They've missed on receivers in the 3rd round. They've missed on defensive guys in the 3rd or 4th round. And in the 1st round, when you do that, you have to pay for high-priced free agents or you trade assets for those free agents who then cost more money. So that's where we are with the cap. So for me, yes, Andrew Berry, you did some things, good things with Emerson. However, where can you point on when he's drafted? Where is the superstar at?
Emerson.
Emerson's the best player they've drafted.
He's the best player they drafted.
Who's the second best player they've drafted?
DPJ was in that conversation.
Who? Give me
the second best player.
Who's the second best
player?
player?
So how many drafts has it been?
DPJ was in that conversation. I'll
at
pull up
this
their
point,
draft
maybe
picks.
J.O.K.
It could be J.O.K.
Grant,
it could
did
be
he draft
Delpit.
Grant Delpit? He drafted
Yeah,
Grant
it could be
Delpit.
Delpit at this point.
Huh?
Whatever happened to Greedy?
It could be
Williams?
Delpit, I said.
Is he
Out of the
still
league,
playing? He ain't on no roster.
Let me tell you, and this is devastating. You say Emerson is nice. I like that. But in that same period of time, the Seahawks drafted 2 guys that are better than him.
Who?
The Seahawks young corners, both of them better than Emerson.
Well, one was drafted in the 1st round last year.
Okay.
So you didn't have
Tariq Woolen was a 7th round pick.
And Tariq Woolen was a 5th round pick.
And he's nice.
He is good.
Yeah, very nice.
I take Emerson.
That's not what I be seeing.
I take Emerson. Emerson going up against number 1 receivers and shutting them down.
I give him Emerson, but what I'm saying,
Woolen. Now I will say Woolen does get his hand on the ball.
Yes,
Not this season, but last season did.
No, not to Emerson. All I'm saying is there are other people that are drafting not only good, but they're getting more. So they got 2 corners for the 1 corner you got. And you took.
Well, one was in the 1st round.
Okay.
In fairness, the Browns didn't. The Browns drafted Greg Newsome, and he's a decent player.
Yes, he's a decent player.
Yeah.
But we've missed way too much. And when
They have missed way too much.
And what I'm saying,
I don't.
defensively,
Listen, outside of after the 3rd round, it's really a crapshoot.
Sure.
So we don't act like just because you can go point to an example. You can't go through 32 teams or 31 other teams and be like, that 4th through 7th round pick hit for all of these teams. That's not the case.
If the Browns end up in cap hell, yes, if Deshaun Watson ends up being a bust, it's a disaster.
Yes.
Because he's a bust.
Yes.
But most of the teams with high-paid quarterbacks, it's not a disaster unless you totally screw up all your draft picks.
I agree. In the first 3 rounds, I agree.
And I'll be like, look at.
I mean, that's the key. The best time to do it is get the quarterback on the rookie deal, and then you can go out and do everything
right.
else.
And now, look, who recently spent on their quarterback? The Bengals, the Chargers, the Ravens. Let's think about those 3
and
teams,
the Eagles.
Right? And the Eagles, okay?
Which I don't know how they finessing they cap like they do.
And they've got to – now they can't screw up their draft picks. So the Ravens had to – they traded away Marquise Brown, right? So what do? They drafted Zay Flowers. Well, it looks like they got it right with him.
Yeah.
Oh, they got it definitely got right with that.
The Bengals had to let both their safeties go.
Yep. Yeah. Who was their 1st round pick this year?
The Bengals?
Yeah.
It was a safety.
No, it was Murphy at Clemson. Wasn't it?
No.
Who is Murphy?
No, they drafted a safety. I can't think of his name.
And he starts, don't he? He starts.
He's
the
in and out with
Bengals
Nick
drafted
Scott.
a safety in the 1st round?
I think so. Double
No,
check.
they drafted Miles Murphy out of Clemson.
Oh, that's my bad. They drafted safety in the 2nd round, right?
Does he play?
He hasn't been playing, no.
Okay, so they might have missed.
But here's the thing. They're so deep up front.
Oh, okay. So
guys have a chance. Remember, Dax Hill. Dax Hill didn't play last year.
Yes, he did a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Now he's starting.
Well, he got no choice.
Well, but he's playing better now. You have a chance to sit and learn. That's fine. But by year 2, you got to see something.
We got all this. We got all this off of DPJ and Cedric Tillman. At the end of the day, the productivity from both of them this season is the exact same. So I don't care what y'all talking about.
They drafted Battles.
Miss me with all of that.
Safety
Y'all, the same 2 people that sit here and grill DPJ in the punt return game.
Yeah,
y'all, we're significantly, we're slightly worse because he's gone. Y'all sit here and talk about this man every single Sunday.
That's true. But listen. The reason he's done nothing in the passing game is because their quarterback play is trash.
No, let's call it what it is. The reason that he ain't did nothing in the passing game is because he can't get separation from
then how did he get 800-something yards last year?
Because he was a big body receiver.
Well, why can't he? Did he get skinny?
Because they all over him now.
Did he get skinny?
No. The reason being, the reason why he can't get open this year because the Browns don't have a run game because Nick Chubb isn't there. So what is linebackers doing?
Their run game's
wait a minute. Be quiet. The run game. Listen, as a linebacker, I'm not worried about giving up 2 or 3 yards on no run. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop back in my hook drop and I'm gonna play this dig that he loves to run. So if a linebacker's there and their corners all over him, how the heck you gonna get him the ball? Because that's the best route he runs is the dig.
It's fair enough.
So stop it.
That factors in.
Y'all need to cut this out.
Wait a second. If Deshaun Watson was balling this year, you don't think DPJ would have better numbers?
Yes.
Of course, maybe not as good as last year.
What was DPJ's numbers in the Titans?
It's very interesting. So Deshaun's best game was Tennessee.
Yeah.
That was also DPJ's best game. He had 5 targets, 3 receptions for 50 yards.
Okay.
Listen.
It's decent.
50 yards is an 850-yard season.
Why is it? You can't necessarily keep saying this all court. Elijah Moore has been actually open. He just can't get the ball, which we see that.
Travis,
we can't say the same thing about DPJ.
We're not saying it's all on the quarterbacks, but that's a big factor.
Let me ask you this.
Amari Cooper still lead.
Let me ask you this.
Amari Cooper's a much better receiver than these guys.
Why is it? It just seems like a systematic problem to me. Every year, I got to come in here and talk about Kevin Stefanski and receivers not getting the ball. It doesn't matter if you OBJ, Jarvis Landry, DPJ.
Amari Cooper never said that.
Well, look, if you predetermine, you throwing the ball.
You know why? Because he can still win his one-on-one route.
No, you know
that's why.
You know why PJ Walker cannot go through a progression. You know that. You understand.
That's a fact.
He cannot go through a progression.
That is a fact.
PJ Walker could be like, "Oh, Mark Cooper's here. He's getting the ball, no matter what coverage it is."
That's correct.
So, hey man, listen. If you're a one-shot Dillinger, I
tell you what.
Yeah,
we gonna find out.
Yeah,
with DPJ going to Detroit, he ain't gonna be a number 2 like Bulls say, but he gonna get some spin. He gonna get some spin, and they throw the ball out. Better offense. They throw the ball. He got more weapons around.
Yeah.
If DPJ finished the season with 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, I would say that's a good season.
Even that might be a lot to ask because he's further down the depth chart, but
400 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's possible. What is it? 9 games left? It's possible.
They have a bye this week, so we've played what? We're 8 weeks into the season.
Yeah,
they have 9 games left.
They have 9 games left.
9 games, 400 yards.
You know,
it's not that hard.
The frustrating part about this is watching the Browns is like looking at your life when you used to be poor and was trying to go from job to job. Like the struggle is just. You just get tired of struggling. You get tired of eating ramen noodles. You get tired of eating Fruit Loops and generic cereal.
But no matter how rich or poor you get, you still eat some ramen noodles from time to time.
We can go back to them. I can always hit that button. But damn it, just let me get.
You don't want to have to. You want to.
You don't want to have to, but you don't want. You never too good to open up a pack of noodles. I got them at the house.
Can you win some games with PJ Walker? Yeah. Can you eat ramen noodles sometimes and it'll be okay?
Listen,
but that is not a constant diet.
The bottom line on the DPJ thing. Is it a big deal that they traded DBJ? Of course not.
Thank you.
Of course it's not a big deal.
Thank you.
It's just what it signals. On trade deadline day, where other teams tried to get better, the Browns did not.
The Browns tried to get better.
Well, I'm sorry. While other teams got better,
there you go.
The Browns did not.
They punted.
The Browns are the only team over 500 that got worse. Ever so slightly, but they got worse.